Hi guys, in this video we are going to look at a very common belief about the LEGO sets, which is that they used to be cheaper than they are now. It's how most of us remember things, but is it actually true? Let's find out. In order to analyze this issue, I need a single LEGO product line with continuous data going back as far as possible. Ideally, it should be still active, non-licensed and without minifigures. What's wrong with licensing, you ask? Well, it affects the prices of LEGO sets in ways we can't predict. LEGO has been paying license fees for Star Wars for 20 years now, but we don't know how much they are paying, we don't know how much the fees have grown during that time, and we don't know how much of the set's price is covering these fees. And what about the minifigures? They too affect the prices because the manufacturing cost of a minifigure is many times higher than that of a regular LEGO piece. And looking at how far the minifigures have evolved in the last 20 years, we have reason to believe that they cost much more to make now than they did back then. So it's another unknown we are trying to avoid. With this criteria in mind, I have chosen the LEGO Technic line for my analysis. It has its own problems, such as expensive electric parts which are present in some sets but absent from others. But it's my hope that if we look at the average data for each year, we will get a reliable data set precisely because Technic sets are a mixed bag. So what we are going to do now is look through 19 years of data, checking how some average values have changed, and then we'll see if there are interesting trends or correlations between them. One important thing to keep in mind as we look back is inflation. Inflation means that money is losing value over time. In other words, back in 2001, $10 could buy you more stuff than $10 can buy you today. For that reason, I'm adjusting the prices of all sets using an inflation calculator. As you can see in this example, inflation can make quite a difference. We start with the year 2001 and 8 sets, none of which I had a chance to play with. You can see that the sets are relatively small but expensive if you consider the price per piece. 2002 seems like a bad year for Technic with only 3 sets, 2 of which are new editions of sets released in previous years. But then again, early 2000s was a bad time for LEGO in general. 2003 looks much better, especially with that backhoe loader. That thing had like a ton of pneumatics in it, and I regret not buying it back then. 2004 comes with exciting stuff, including the red crane track, that was my first Stadless Technic set, and with a blue car including rare suspension pieces that remain useful to this day. You can see that the sets have grown larger and the price per piece has dropped quite a bit. 2005, the year LEGO released the legendary 8421 mobile crane. It put every previous Technic crane to shame, and it remains the most liked Technic crane in history for many people, including me. If you get a chance to buy this set, believe me, it's still worth it. Also, the forklift was pretty much the best Technic forklift so far, and that bike had some pretty great rare pieces in it. 2006 is the year I've missed completely. I've always wanted to get some of these sets, but never managed to do so. Lots of people liked that big black truck, and I think that small red ridge stacker was pretty cool too. And look, the price per piece is lower than ever before. 2007 was a special year because that's when the power function system hit the market. That yellow dozer was the only set with the new motors, and people went crazy about it. And the prices looked good too. 2008 brought some new suspension pieces in that dark grey off-roader car and the first linear actuator in the yellow ridge stacker. Other than that, nothing remarkable. LEGO has tried a few new things in 2009, including the biggest truck ever, a snow groomer, and some really small Technic sets. It was also the first time we got 10 Technic sets in a single year. I remember 2010 mainly for the excellent excavator set. It had 4 motors and some limitations, but it was the first fully remotely controlled Technic excavator ever, and it was extremely playable. That motorbike looked great too. We got 10 sets again, and the prices got a little higher. 2011, the year of the Unimog. It was the first licensed Technic set in a long time, and it came with some very welcome suspension pieces for off-road fans. You can see that at this point, an average Technic set was almost twice the size it was 10 years earlier. The year 2012 was dominated by the Crawler set. It was officially intended for indoor use only, but come on. Also, one of the coolest helicopters in Technic history was released. In 2013, LEGO has given us another big mobile crane, which somehow never got quite as popular as the AT421. It also gave us the exclusive edition of the crawler set with a different body. It was limited to 20,000 copies and it got widely popular with resellers. LEGO hasn't tried another limited edition Technic set ever since. Also, this was the year the pullback sets were introduced. There were some pretty cool sets in 2013, including the remotely controlled front-end loader and a massive cargo plane. And if I remember correctly, this was the year I've started reviewing every Technic set that came out thanks to LEGO. Oh, and that red pickup truck remains a pretty sweet starter set. 2015 has brought the big Mercedes truck, which is still considered to be one of the most challenging Technic sets to build. We got 13 sets altogether, and many of them were rather unique, for example the Le Mans race car. 2016 was pretty special. First, LEGO has released the biggest Technic set yet in form of that giant bucket wheel excavator. And then it released the first licensed big-scale supercar, the orange Porsche. The average size and price of a set have grown again, but the price per piece remained the same as the year before. I remember 2017 mostly for the blue all-terrain track, which was a complete disaster and probably remains one of the most overpriced and disappointing sets in Technic history. Still, LEGO has tried many new things this year: a ship, a jet and the first licensed Technic motorbike set. 2018 was the year of a second big supercar, the Chiron. It seemed like a huge improvement on the Porsche, and we got 14 sets total because LEGO apparently thinks we have bottomless pockets or something. On top of that, the average size of a Technic set was nearly 1200 pieces, which is insane, and the price per piece was lower than ever. Finally, 2019. The power function system got replaced by the Control Plus platform, and not everybody liked that. The Liebherr excavator was the first Technic set with 7 motors. We got 4 licensed sets, including a Land Rover, another Porsche and a Corvette, which proves that Technic supercars should be big, not small. The remote-controlled Stunt Racer was officially the last Power Functions Technic set. We can't have proper conclusions without some fancy graphs, so here you go. Let's start with size. Between 2001 and 2019, an average Technic set has grown a little over 3 times bigger. It's incredible to think that a 1000 pieces set used to be top of the line and now it's barely medium-sized. At the same time, the price of an average Technic set has grown 2.1 times, so you can already see that the increase in size is significantly larger than the increase in price. The number of sets released each year is another matter. Back in 2008, all 8 sets would cost you around $457 in today's money. In 2019, it took nearly $1,700 to get all 14 sets, so I guess today it's easier to be a casual fan, but harder to be a true collector. Finally, the price per piece. It went from 16 cents to just 10, and as recently as in 2018 it was only 7 cents per piece, a huge improvement. Of course, it can be argued that this is because of moving part of production from Denmark to China, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of pieces has degraded. I own plenty of 20 years old pieces and they weren't that great. In 90s, for example, we had serious problems with Technic bushes cracking. Now let's combine the graphs into one so we can see how they correlate. I think we can safely say that yes, indeed, LEGO sets have technically grown more expensive, but for a reason. While becoming twice as expensive, they have also become 3 times as big, and the price per piece has dropped by half in some years. Of course, LEGO products are still expensive, but I think it's impressive that LEGO managed to find a way to pay for development of much bigger sets, while at the same time lowering their cost to the customer. Here's what happens if we mark some important events on the timeline. This shows that big expensive sets such as the Porsche and the Chiron affect average annual values, but introducing the power function system or the licensed Unimog had apparently little impact on the prices. And here's another way to look at these changes. The bottom line is you can now get more LEGO pieces for the same money, and you can choose from a larger number of more diverse sets. I suspect that when people complain about LEGO prices today, it's because they forget about inflation and they remember mostly the good things rather than the bad ones. Also, LEGO sets are still expensive relatively to other products. And maybe we simply like to complain.